All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er update video. Man, not a day goes by, even in the offseason, where there's not 49er news seemingly of significance. So let's get into it right away. There was a report from Andrew Filipponi, who is a guy I've known for a while, from 93.7 The Fan in Pittsburgh. And he basically reported on Tuesday that the Steelers have looked into a potential trade for Niners wide receiver Brandon Aiyuk, who's 26, coming off of a second-team All-Pro season in 2023. And the Steelers picked 20th overall in the first round of the NFL draft come April. So how much validity is there in that report? I don't know. But Brandon Aiyuk today reached out to Steelers head coach Mike Tomlin on Twitter, saying, at Coach Tomlin, they saying we twins, what you think? With the eyes emoji. So, this is the time of the year where a lot of people are like, oh, enough already. Is he going to be traded? Is he going to be a Niner? Is he going to be a Steeler? What's the deal? It came out earlier this week that the Jaguars had some interest in Brandon Aiyuk, and that the Niners' ask was Zay Jones and the 17th pick overall in the draft come April. So, this is what happens when you have a great player that's out there, that people are sitting there and they're looking at your cap and they're saying, well, can they afford him? Can they not? Let's start floating trades, this and that. It sounds to me like the 49ers have a number that they're willing to go to. And if Aiyuk's camp exceeds that number, there's a chance that Aiyuk, is moving on and that they would consider trades. That's my read on it. I don't have any sources on it. I don't think anybody does at this point. I'm a little surprised if the Niners would have taken Zay Jones in 17. That seems like a low price tag for Aiyuk in my mind. I mean, Aiyuk is a star receiver. He was a second-team All-Pro. I think he's worth a mid-first-round pick on his own. And the Jaguars didn't want to move Zay Jones, who's been kind of a journeyman receiver, and 17. And now the Steelers come calling. I got to think that the Steelers would be willing to offer the 20th pick in the draft. I mean, I think there's some heat on Mike Tomlin, believe it or not. I know that sounds crazy because Tomlin's had so much success there, but look at their desire to get Russell Wilson, who's an older quarterback. And then, of course, they're trying to help themselves down the road with Justin Fields. I think the Steelers are looking for, the right 4 or 5 players that they can add that can turn them into a Super Bowl contender and help them win that elusive playoff game. I mean, the Steelers haven't won a playoff game in a while. So I believe the reports, but at the same time, I got to think, if I'm the Niners, if you can get Aiyuk at your price, you'd rather have Aiyuk than the 20th pick in the first round, or you'd rather have Aiyuk than the 17th pick in the first round. Now, who are 4 or 5 players that the 49ers may want if they made a trade with Jacksonville for 17, or if they made a trade with Pittsburgh and wound up with the 20th pick to go along with the 31st pick? Well, 5 names come to mind. Brian Thomas, the LSU wide receiver, who knows? I mean, long term, he may be a better wide receiver than Brandon Aiyuk. He's 6'4", he's got great speed, he's got unbelievable ball skills. That's one. Number 2, and probably the top guy on their list would be J.P. Latham, or J.C. Latham, I should say, from Alabama. Just a prototype, a tackle, 6'6", 335 to 350-pound range. He's your plug-and-play right tackle for the next decade. Terrion Arnold, the number 1 corner for Bama. I think he kind of showed everybody that he's a special kid at the Combine. Troy Fautanu, who just loves to seek and destroy. A lot of people think he's a guard, but he looks like he could be a really fast-moving tackle who could get out and move his feet. And then Amarius Mims, who's 6'8", 340 pounds, and very much the physical prototype. He's only made 8 career starts, but there's no doubt that Mims is a prototypical offensive tackle. So I think if they're going to trade Aiyuk, I don't think they are, but if they are, I could see them going for one of those guys. Now, Mel Kiper in his latest mock draft has the 49ers using their 31st pick on Roger Rosengarten, an offensive tackle from UW who's made 28 career starts in his career. And then Daniel Jeremiah also came out with his latest mock. He has the Niners taking Penn State defensive end Chop Robinson. I don't really believe the Niners are going to take either one of those guys. I think it's too early for both. I think Robinson will probably go in the 40s and Rosengarten in the 50s. A couple other Niner notes. George Kittle and Deebo Samuel are both going to star in the Netflix show, the new Netflix show this summer called Receiver, which is kind of a spinoff of their series on quarterbacks, which highlighted Mahomes and Mariota and Kirk Cousins last summer. This new show is gonna follow the lives of 5 NFL receivers: Kittle, Deebo, Devontae Adams, Justin Jefferson, and Amon-Ra St. Brown. I can't wait to see it. It should be great. It's produced by NFL Films, Omaha Productions, and they do some amazing stuff. So I can't wait to see that. That will probably be out this summer, probably in June. And lastly, in this video, let's talk a little bit about Josh Dobbs. It's, a day after the Niners acquired Josh Dobbs yesterday. They signed him as a free agent. He's a 28-year-old quarterback. He's made 21 NFL games, 14 starts in 7 seasons. And, he's had some glimpses of nice things. I mean, 2,920 passing yards, 15 touchdowns, 13 picks, 91 carries for 496 yards, 6 touchdowns. He signs a 1-year deal with the Niners for $2.25 million. The number that is hard to get around is the record. I mean, the guy just doesn't win. He's 3-11. 3-11 in his career in the NFL. And the Niners are his 8th team. He was a 4th-round pick by the Steelers in 2017. This last year, he played for Cleveland, Arizona, and Minnesota. Couple things to know about Dobbs. He once was such a standout baseball player in high school in Georgia that a lot of people thought that was his sport, but he chose football and the University of Tennessee. He majored in aerospace engineering, and he had a 4.0 GPA. And he continues to work he continues to work towards becoming a rocket scientist. I mean, that's his ultimate dream, is to become a rocket scientist. They nicknamed him the Pastronaut. He was diagnosed with alopecia as a boy and has continued to be outspoken about it. And Dobbs, it's interesting. I mean, I think one of the things that Shanahan obviously really liked about him is he's really, really smart, and he can digest the entire 49er playbook in a short amount of time. So that's good. He won't threaten Brock Purdy as the starter. That's good. There will be no locker room, disconnect or guys pulling for the backup. That's not going to happen. Dobbs will slate in as number 2. Brandon Allen will will comfortably slate in as number 3. And the Niners will have a very comfortable quarterback room. So, interesting. I mean, to me, it's really interesting from the standpoint of now there's no drafting of a rookie quarterback for the most part. Most likely it's going to be, the 49ers needs at this point. They don't really have a need at quarterback. They don't really have a need at running back. They've re-signed Juszczyk. They didn't carry a backup fullback for much of last year, so they probably don't need a fullback. They're pretty loaded at wide receiver, though I could see them going for some kind of a vertical threat. They're pretty loaded at tight end, though they could probably use one more. Their real need on the offense is on the offensive line, and they may be able to go exclusively on the offensive line, trying as far as draft choices devoted to the offensive side of the ball. So they've already spent a lot of money on defense, but now it looks like there's a chance that they may even have some picks in the draft to invest on defense. I could see them going 1 defensive tackle, maybe 1 defensive end, maybe 1 linebacker, 1 safety, maybe even 1 corner. There's also that possibility that they could trade. They could make a trade for a Surtain. They have plenty of picks. They have 10 picks. And if Surtain costs 3 picks, 2 this year and 1 next year, heck, that could be a viable alternative. To me, it's going to be really interesting. The Niners have what I would say is 2 primary needs: a true number 1 corner, which would be Surtain, in a nutshell, or their future on the offensive line as far as depth, and they could go center, guard, and tackle in this draft. Which is the priority? Can they get both done? Can they get the number 1 corner and replenish a lot of the stuff on their offensive line? We're going to find out. But overall, there's your update on this Tuesday for the 49ers. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. And now thanks to now let's get a word from our sponsor, Aura, the sponsor of this video.
Have you ever typed your name on the internet and seen all of your private information is online? Are you tired of receiving tons of spam calls from random numbers? Are you receiving more and more of these as time has gone on? Well, that's where Aura, the sponsor of today's show, can really help you out. Data brokers sell your information to scammers and spammers and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, your email, your home address, all your records, your health records, who your relatives are. It's all out there. That's why I've been using Aura. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers who could use the information to help them access my social media accounts, my bank accounts, or any other sensitive information. Aura also does so much more to protect me and my family from online threats I can't see. I get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. It's really easy to set up. And best of all, I get everything at one affordable price. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to the link in the description to start your 2-week free trial.
And thanks to Aura, thanks to Pig and a Pickle, and thanks to all of you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.